Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year. Welcome to the Catalyst webinar series presented by the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. The Catalyst webinar is a bi-weekly educational platform for creating success and change in your club and career. This year, we'd like to acknowledge our title sponsor, Digital Revenue Systems, DRS. Today's Catalyst is brought to you by our presenting partner, DRS. Digital Revenue Systems, educate with elegance. Your facility deserves more than just static. Where screens speak luxury, digital signage designed to elevate golf, fitness, and wellness experiences. For more information, go to digitalrevsystems.com. We'd also like to welcome the first Catalyst presenter of the year, Mr. Will Robbins. He really needs no introduction. He's a tremendous friend and partner to the Southern California PGA and the PGA of America. Will is the 2014 NorCal Section Youth Development Award recipient. He's the 2015 NorCal Section Player Development Award winner. He's Golf Digest Best in State 2024, 2025, and 2026. He's also the Golf Digest, he's on the Golf Digest Top 50 Teachers in America list this year. He's on the two national committees, I believe, the PGA Junior League Advisory Committee, as well as the PGA National Youth Development Committee. He's also a keynote speaker, and he's presented at the annual meeting, I think, 3 times that I know of, maybe more than that. And he's joining us this morning to talk about work-life balance and his teaching philosophy and how he does what he does. Good morning, Mr. Robbins. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Catalyst webinar series.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here. Super excited. Really appreciate everybody's time. Obviously, time is extremely valuable. So want to make sure I give you everything I possibly can to help you. Let's not talk about me today. Let's talk about your goals for 2026. Let's talk about planning for this coming year. And hopefully what I can share with you is just, all of the ways that I've completely messed it up and not succeeded to now understand a little bit more about how to set the right goals for the coming year and how to go ahead and build out a plan that actually works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you can all give me a thumbs up and let me know that you're going to be able to see this. I'm going to come in here and start this slideshow right here. Do we have a thumbs up there? John, can people see that? We see.
Yep, we got it. And
Perfect.
also, just everybody is on mute, all of the PGA members on the call this morning. However, you have access to the chat box, and would appreciate, feel free to ask questions, raise your hand, hit me up in the chat box, and I will interject your question on your behalf so that Will can answer it extemporaneously and in live time.
Yeah, perfect. So again, it's January, right? And this is the time that we should be doing our goal setting for the rest of the country. Obviously, the weather's terrible, so you're sitting inside just working on, what you've got to work on. In SoCal, you guys continue to get great weather and can can be coaching pretty much year round. So here's what I'm going to be honest about, right? To be honest, goal setting for me has never been that great a deal. I always seem to fall short of it. So today, sort of the focus of today is why goal setting often doesn't work, why it fails. So what I'd love you to do is get out a pen, paper, if it's your iPad, whatever it may be, but please go ahead and ask questions, but most importantly, pretty much just write down the answers because yeah, some of you might be in the car driving, totally get it. Please don't be writing. But what I want you to start to look at is like, how do we make 2026 a different year? And what I want to do here is I want to go through these slides that I've got here, these key points, and then I want to open up to Q&A so we can, ask a bunch of questions, get what you specifically need. But I think the best thing to do is just to start off with is like in the past, how's it gone? How has goal setting gone for you when you sit down there in January and you sort of plan out this amazing year ahead? And honestly, in December, do you look back at those goals and say, yes, I've hit those goals, I accomplished what I wanted to do, and I'm right on track with it? Or like many of us, or at least like myself, is that I set those goals, and by January 30th, I've actually forgotten what they were. And by February, I'm back into panic mode. And by March, I'm starting to get burnt out. And then by September, I'm exhausted. And then here I am back again, like I'm going to reset for this year. So that's what I did for years. And over time, through those errors and mistakes, I've started to get a little bit better idea of like actually how to accomplish my goals. And so that's really kind of what I want to dive into there. And then whatever questions you have in regards to coaching and on course, I think it'll help us when we get more specific about what you want to do this year is how you're going to go ahead and set the right goals for yourself. So first thing that I'm going to start off with is like, let's get honest, okay? Before we start just jotting down all these amazing goals for 2026 and about how we're going to make 200,000 or 300,000 or how we're going to go from 50 hours a week to 30 hours a week, or how we're going to start teaching tour players or whatever it may be that you're going to try and do this year, is that I think the first thing that I would suggest that all of you do would be just to start journaling. And let's do it right now, because honestly, that you're taking the time. So if you can, just start journaling this stuff down right now. Is we need to figure out where we're actually at, right? For a GPS system to work, it actually needs to know where you're at before you start typing in where you want to go. And so to me, one of the biggest and best things that I would say that we start to look at is just factually, like, what is things like, let's say, right now, what is your net worth? Okay, I'm not sure how many of you track that, but I'd hope you do. But it's like, what's your net worth? Like, how much debt do you have? How much do you have a home? Like, how much equity do you have in a home? Maybe you don't. Maybe you're renting and you'd like to get a home, right? How much savings do you have? How much of a 401k do you have? What have you got as far as investments? So one of the big things that I would say is that, a lot of times we're just looking at like the cash coming in, get the revenue in. If I make more money this year, it's going to be great, right? That's true in a way. But if we keep spending the way we're spending, or if we keep getting in debt, then it's not going to help at all. So to me, is if you're not tracking your net worth, I think it's a really good thing to start to look at, because it's got to give us a goal, especially maybe some of the people on the call here who are 25, 27, 30, 31, who it's like, yeah, it's a long way away. Well, guess what? It's not. It creeps up on you quickly. And so often what I see is that we're using all of our money pretty much just to pay for the day to day, and we're not really looking for that long term like return on how am I putting money into my retirement, how am I putting money into paying down my mortgage, whatever it may be. So I would get brutally honest right now. Like, so what did you make last year? Honestly, when I go around the country and I get to talk to most coaches, they'll tell me, I'm like, how much you make last year? Now, if you're a W-2 employee, it's quite easy to know that, right? You're like, well, I know exactly how much I made. But most of the coaches who are independent contractors, they'll tell me like, oh, I mean, probably somewhere around about maybe 80, maybe 90, maybe 100. There's not a specific breakdown of like, this is exactly how much I grossed last year. This was my gross, right? And then, well, what were your expenses on that, right? And then what are you filing for taxes? So to me is I just think, like it's not all about money, but let's just be honest, it's your job, right? So it is actually about money, right? I mean, your joy in life may not come just from what you do on the golf course or at the golf course, but the point is it is where you make your income. So what I would be saying to you is number one, what is my net worth right now? Okay, number two is what did I specifically make last year? All right. Number three, what did I spend last year? And so then what is my actual profit on the company? And when I'm talking about spend, I'm talking about cost of goods sold, like in terms of I had to pay rent to the golf course, I had to pay for my subscription, I had to pay for the PGA, I had to pay for my cell phone, everything that had to do with my business. So just as a general company, I mean, you're always going to have your P&L, right? For head pros on there, you're like, yeah, this is common sense, and you do it for your company. I'm just asking, do you do it for yourself? Because if we start to get really clear on that, it's going to help us to start to move forward. Because I think so many times, like at least I thought, like if I just make more revenue, I'll be more successful and I'll make more money and it'll be better. And I remember having 4 academies and growing and having the most revenue I've ever had in a year. It was a large amount, and I made less money than I've ever made, and I've been more stressed out of my mind than I've ever been. And so I knew that things had to change. So first of all, it's about getting honest, right? Next thing is KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. Is that so often, like my mind was right towards revenue. Like, look, how much money can I make? How much money can I make? Versus, like, okay, what do I want to measure? And I think the most important thing for all of us, right, is we've got to start to understand that yes, there's money, but I think time is more valuable than money. And then impact is what brings us purpose. So how are you going to measure impact this year? Right? Is it running another, outstanding, successful PGA Junior League? And like that is one of the biggest joys you have in the year. It just motivates you, it inspires you. Is it the high school golf team that you're working with? Is it the Get Golf Ready programs you're running? Like, what really drives your passion, right? Because it's super easy to just keep on saying yes to 1 hour lessons. and like keep on grinding 1 hour lessons and giving the same 1 hour lesson to the same person that doesn't practice, that doesn't really want to get better, but keeps showing up. And I don't think that really increases your energy, right? And that's usually where a lot of coaches will reach out to me like, Will, I'm burnt out, I'm exhausted. I know I should be grateful, right? But, I'm just not making the impact that I want. The second thing is time, is like, how much time do you really want to devote to this? And my challenge to all of you would be is like, how little can you work to make the money that you want? Because then you have extra bandwidth on top of that. Because again, for a lot of us, we pour all of our energy into our coaching and into our business. And when we get home, I remember Warren Bucky telling me this, his wife said, like, you sort of bring the breadcrumbs home. So yes, you've done an amazing job with all of your students today, but you get home to your kids and your spouse and you're exhausted, you're burnt out. And the thing is, they should be getting the best of us, right? But what we do is we pour in so much into our students and so much into our passion for coaching and running our facility that a lot of times we don't have that energy. So part of this is sort of like energy management, which is I need to do it more effectively and more efficiently, which would be, yes, if I taught this, this PGA Junior League class and I was able to make $450 an hour or $350 an hour versus 8 half-hour privates for the same amount or whatever you charge. Like, I'm going to be more tired when I wasn't doing what I love. I'm going to be more tired when I did it for 6 hours with 6 different people than an hour and a half with 8 kids having a blast, right? And then obviously from there brings the income. So I really want you to get specific on what are those KPIs for you? What are you really going to measure? To see that. And so sort of the output of that is energy. Is like, how much energy do I have? Am I inspired? Do I feel great? Am I coming home to my family with energy? Or if some of you maybe don't have a family, are you putting a ton of time into your golf game? Like, look, I really want to play well in the section this year. Are you putting the time in, or do you feel burnt out for it? So this second page here, what I'd like you to do is write down those KPIs. What's really important to you that you can measure, a key performance indicator. I know that if I'm working, 25 hours a week and I'm hitting this number, I'm at my best. But if I get to 35 hours a week, even if I'm making more money, I'm sort of sacrificing, health for wealth, right? I'm more tired, I'm more frustrated, and I'm not going to be the person I need to be. So from there, I think the biggest thing, and this is where if you spoke to Jared, right, he's been working with me now for 13 years, he's business partner with me in Will Robbins Golf, is like my goals were always like, okay, if we did 350,000 last year, then we should do 600,000 this year. And if we did 600,000 last year, we should do 800,000 or 900. Like, I just made numbers up, right? I was just like, let's just go all the way here. Never actually looking at the data from the past year, like you all do as head professionals and general managers, and look at, hey, rounds last year, we had 52,000 rounds. You don't go, let's do 78,000 rounds. It's like, well, that's not going to happen. We can't get the people on the golf course. So I think, again, sometimes we always think more is better. So expectations, what if you had a 12% growth this year, right? What if you reduced your time by 8% this year? Right? What if you spent 20% more of your time doing what you love? Because again, some of you, yeah, you still got to be in the pro shop. You still got to stack shelves. You still got to do inventory. It's not what you love. But if I was doing 20% more on-course coaching, or I had an extra PGA Junior League team, or I had more time to play, I played 12 tournaments this year instead of 7. Like, that energy, this whole concept of work-life balance to me is it's not false, but it's this idea that we think we should balance it where, okay, I should have half my time with my family and this and half my time at work. That's just not the case, right? You are going to be at work 40, 45, 50 hours a week. You're driving to work, you're driving home, you're taking calls at home. You can have a 9-hour day and then go out in the backyard and go and throw a football with your son, or go and practice lacrosse with your daughter for half an hour, sit down and have a wonderful dinner with your family for 45 minutes and feel amazing. Well, that's not in theory balance, is it? Because you only spent an hour and a half with your family and you spent 9 hours at work. But when we look at energy and you're feeling great, you took a nice walk with your spouse and you had a great conversation, you're like, God, I feel fantastic. Like, that's really the understanding, that is, if you get real quality time. And so instead of just thinking money increase or student increase or website views or social media clicks or whatever it is that you're looking for in your KPIs, if you look at it more along the lines of if I can start to get a 5% or a 10% increase, but we do this year over year, this is what becomes enjoyable. Where at the end of the year, you're not like, okay, I got to go and do this, this, and this. Is like, I just got to keep going. I'm trending in the right direction. All I've got to do is keep doing what I'm doing. Okay. So this is where I think a lot of goals fall short because we just go way too much into like, I'm going to hit, for a lot of you, it's going to hit 100,000 this year. Okay, well, just work 65 hours a week and you'll get there. It's like, it's not that hard. Just work more. It's just that you won't see your family, or you won't have time to go to the gym, or you won't work on your golf game. So is it worth it? Probably not. So with that said, as we start to look at that is, who would you need to be? And I think this is where, to me, the biggest thing I'd love to get your insights on today is that we always want to change the external, but we never really want to focus on the internal. And if any of you, I'm sure you've listened to Zig Ziglar, and I will do my worst American accent here, but he would always say, if you want to change the fruits, you got to change the roots. And that's terrible. I know he's from the South, and you can kick me out for saying that, but this concept of trying to change the fruit on the tree, like, okay, it's not a tasty orange, and like painting it orange and like adding some sugar to it, right? That doesn't change it. It changes by the fruits, changed by the roots, right? Which is, you got to water it better, you got to feed the tree more, you got to prune the tree more, you got to get it so it's got more sun coming onto it, and change the way the system is. And so often we're looking externally of like, hey, I'm going to the show in 2 weeks. I'm going to go and buy this piece of technology. I'm going to go and do this certification. But if you put it on a crappy operating system, which is us, right? Which is, oh, it didn't work, so I'm going to move on to something else, right? It doesn't help. And so the best way for us to do this, because we're like, well, that's not me. It's like, well, let's just look at our students, right? Our students are, I bought a new driver. Perfect. But you're going to continue to pull it out on holes where you shouldn't pull it out. So guess what? It's not going to improve your golf score. And on top of that, you're also going to watch this YouTube video, read this Golf Digest article, take a lesson from me, but then also listen to your 22 handicap friend, and then stand over the driver and still not hit it good. Until you get a discipline of going through and saying, who would I need it to be? I'd need to be someone who's willing to put driver away 7 or 8 holes in a round. I need to be someone who's willing to go to the driving range and work on getting a 7-iron to go straight before I try and get my driver to go straight. And I'm also someone that needs to be willing to work and be focused on my putting and chipping, because I know that that'll take the pressure off of my driver. So I would just start to write down, and this internally, everybody listening, who do you need to be? Not what do you need to do, who do you need to be? I need to be, for me, I need to stop rushing so much. I need to be more patient. I just need to slow down and be more patient. So one of the things I need to practice is being patient. That's a key thing for me, right? Because I just love running into the next thing. Just a lot of times that runs into effort and energy and burnout, right? Who do you need to be? So just jot some of those things down, right? I need to be more disciplined. I need to finish the job, right? I can't just start things and just finish them. Now, some of you are thinking like, but Will, all I ever do is just work on finishing the job, and it has to be absolutely perfect before I'll post that flyer, before I'll send that email. Maybe what you need to do is start, I need to be impatient and ready, fire, aim, and just go and get stuff done and not worry so much about being perfect. I'm not sure what it is for you, but we inherently know inside we've got to change who we're being to get that result. So the concept is be, do, have. Be the person you need to be. You'll start to do the things they do, and then you'll have the good fruits. Right? So I really want to challenge you on this one, because after you look at be, do, have, it then comes down to why. Why is it important to you? You hear Simon Sinek talk about the why, and it's like, oh yeah, the why, that's important. Like, trust me, your entire life is based on why. And what we do is we just underplay it as like, well, I need to make money because, yeah, I have to do that. Or why do you have to make money? It usually comes down to, I'm deathly afraid of going broke. I'm deathly afraid of losing my house. I have to have money. It's like, so why? So there's these fears behind it. And that's not bad, because fear drives us, right? But my point is that if we say, why do you have to, let's just say, for example, let's take it off of money and success and put it onto losing weight. Why do you have to lose 30 pounds? Oh, because I just gotta look better. Okay, well, that's just it's not gonna change. Like, in my experience, that's not why people change, right? When it's hey, my doctor's told me my cholesterol's way too high. He's gonna put me on cholesterol meds. My blood pressure is through the roof. I have got to do something about my health. I've got to do something about my diet. Why? The why is now bigger. There's a better chance, right? And so to me is why do you have to do these things? Because so often what we're thinking about is the what. I want 100,000. Why? If you don't have, well, currently I have $27,000 worth of student debt and I'm paying 16% on it, or credit card debt at 19%, and I'm never going to get out of debt. And I want to buy a house. Remember, we're going back now and saying, I want to buy a house by my 35th birthday, and I've got 3 years to do that, and I need to save $150,000. Why I need to make $100,000 is that I've got to pay off $850 a month every, like, now you're going back to those KPIs and that purpose and why you want it, right? Why do I need to start cutting back? Because I'm not seeing my kids, and because I want to be there for them when they're young, and they're going to grow up quickly. And so if I miss that out, like, I don't know what your why is, everybody, but this is what drives us. Every day you make a decision. Why did you stay in bed? Because you think staying in bed is more enjoyable than getting up and doing what you were meant to do. Like, it's not hard. It's like, everyone says I don't have enough discipline. I'm like, no, you don't have enough priority. Like, it's just simple. And this is the crazy thing about us as PGA professionals is like priority. Not one of you, I'll guarantee you in the chat box, let me ask you, did any of you show up late or miss a lesson last year without an extraordinary circumstance? Like your car broke down or you got super ill and you forgot to, but do you show up late to lessons ever? Do you ever just like no show, like, I'm just gonna stay in bed today, I'm not gonna do it? Did anyone willing to say yes, you did that? I will bet $100 that nobody here does that. Why? Because we prioritize our members, we prioritize our lessons. We want to have a great reputation. For who? For them, right? So your why is a big thing of like, I want to make sure that I'm respected and I'm a great coach. Well, if you don't put that why and that purpose towards what's important to you, you will have no priorities, right? The priorities are about other people, which is, I got to make sure I teach that member. I don't want to let them down, so I won't eat lunch today. And I'll stay half an hour late and I'll miss the beginning of my son's baseball game because why? I got to make sure I help that person. I'm not trying to be negative. It's just human nature, everybody. Like I said, most people by February 1st have lost the game on my New Year's resolution. Why is it? Because they haven't prioritized it. They're not measuring the right things, right? They don't have a clear purpose of where they're truly at. They think they're way down the road when actually they're actually not. They're like a lot further away than they think. And so if you don't get the why, I promise you, you really don't have the drive, because it's when that why is strong that your priority is high. And when your priority is high, as PGA professionals, I just don't see PGA pros ever show up, not looking the right way, not even if you're exhausted and tired, it's 105 degrees on a August afternoon, you're still out there for your lessons and you grind away and you don't stand on the lesson tee complaining about how you don't feel good, right? So I think this why is such a key thing. So as we start to come into this, and then I want to turn it over to questions, is like, what systems are you going to put in place? Okay, because if you can start to automate this stuff, it really becomes super easy. And if you start to look at what systems you currently have, right, that you're really good at, because we've got 71 people on this call right now. I guarantee you there's 25 people on this call that's like, oh, working out is so easy. Why? This system, every morning, 5:30. This is not me, by the way, right? Every morning, 5:30, I just go to the gym. That's my start. Or every day I do my 10,000 steps, 10 o'clock, I take a podcast and I do it. Done it for 7 years, every day. One of my best friends, Ben, works for Grayson. He has done a half-mile lunges, full-blown lunges, half a mile every single morning at 4:30 in the morning for 7.5 years. You guys mental, never missed a day. But it's a system for him. It's just automated. It's automatic. But some of you are going like, I just can't get to the gym. I joined last week. I haven't even been yet. Why? Because you haven't systematized it, right? You haven't made it where it's like, this is just part of who I am. This is my routine. This is what I do. And so what I would challenge you to realize is that willpower sucks. Like, willpower doesn't get you anywhere. Willpower gets you to the gym on like the first 4 days of the year. On the 10th day of the year, when you're sore and you don't feel like it and you went out too late last night, willpower doesn't cut it, right? It's systems that cut it. It's like a job. It's like, if you don't show up tomorrow, you lose your job. Well, that's a system, right? In terms of it's automated. I'm going to go there. If you automatically have $500 come out of your paycheck and go straight into your 401k, or if you go to church, you automatically have it taken out each month for your tithe. Guess what? You just don't even have to think about it. It just automatically happens. So as we go into these questions, I'd love to talk about like, what are you doing that's systematized that works so well, right? Let's just talk about golf. Oh, I'm a great driver of the ball. Why? Well, I have this routine. I trust it. I see it. I go through and make two swings, get over the ball, and strike driver. How about putting? Oh, no, I'm terrible. How's the routine? Well, I have five thoughts about missing putts and how terrible I am at putting, and I get over and I miss it. It's like we're all based, right, just as systematizing things and putting them in play. So we're actually changing what changes us. So we change the roots to change the fruits, right? So what I'd love to do now, John, if it works with everybody, is just to start taking questions and answering specifically for all of you. So like, what are you doing right now? Where do you want to head towards? How can I help you on any part of this, whether it's to do with coaching, doing groups, results based? Let's open it up for all the questions.
Indeed. First question here, Will. You've been quite candid in the past about the catalyst, for lack of a better term, for you and what was your turning point. What was your turning point for you personally? You were assistant pro, you were working at a club, you were given lessons, and you were quite frustrated at the end of that, and that's really what sparked the change. And you talked about fear playing a role in that. Can you talk a little bit candidly about what was the turning point for you?
Yeah, so for me is I was teaching part-time back in 2006, 2007. I was teaching part-time and playing part-time. And when I decided I wasn't going to play because I couldn't make any money, and I really loved coaching. I didn't know that I was going to like coaching, but I loved coaching. I loved getting on the course with my players. Is I just knew that like if I was going to do this, like I was going to go all in because that's kind of my way is all in. And so it was this thing of like for me, I have so much, I'm so ADD, let's go and do stuff, let's make stuff happen. I knew I couldn't stand on a driving range, right? So I knew I was going to have to get on the golf course and teach people how to play. And I didn't want to do one-on-one because I don't think it's very effective. I knew I played my best golf in college, right? And that was competing every day against other people, right? So my why was if I want to get people better and have impact, it would be get them to shoot really low scores and get them better at the game. And how would I have to do that? I'd have to get them on the golf course. And how would I teach them how to play the game? We have to do it under pressure in the environment that you play the game. So I was just very clear that if I was going to stay in the golf industry, I was gonna I was gonna really put my focus in that, and then just went 175% for the next 7 years and totally burnt myself out. But it worked out okay. Once you start to figure out you need a bit more balance other than just work.
So you talked a little bit about getting control of your fear in doing that. What were your two biggest fears embarking on this change?
Biggest fears for me, I would say, you guys know my background. My biggest fear was the number 238,000. That was it. That's the number that drives me on a daily basis, probably too much sometimes, but I lived on a day that 238,000 people died. And so, for those of you who don't know what that means, is I lived through the tsunami with my wife on my honeymoon, and I knew that my purpose was I have to do something that, I've been given a talent to play golf and coach, and I need to do something impactful. So it was just about not letting people down, which again can be a negative and it can push you too hard. But for me, it was a driver just to be like, I have to do something that's big. So I wrote down on a piece of paper, revolutionize golf instruction worldwide, and just started to go after it.
So the Sri Lankan tsunami was in 2004, but you taught as an assistant pro for another almost 3 years before you changed your business model. Can you talk about that transition and why it took
Yeah, so
three
so
years and not
luckily,
6 months?
luckily I was never assistant pro because I think the course sort of closed. If I'd have been in the pro shop, it would have been quite dangerous for me to be there. I was an independent contractor, so yeah, I couldn't play for a year. So 2005 was pretty much a write-off. But in August, the general manager of the club was a good friend of her. His wife was a great friend of mine, and he just offered me an opportunity to want to come out and teach. So I started to teach, and then about a year later, I was able to play again, got my sponsorship back, played the Spanos tour, some Canadian stuff, and basically, yeah, it just went back and forward to let's go and shoot 75, 75, miss a cut, blow 5 grand, come home, play golf with my students, have a ton of fun, get them to play much better golf, make a bunch of money, enjoy myself, and then go, no, but this isn't my purpose. I'm meant to play golf. Go and shoot 77, 72, miss another cut, and do that for about 18 months until one day Dana Rader, um, stood up at a PGA Northern California teaching coaching summit and said, maybe you come to a point where you realize you're not meant to be a golf instructor, a golf playing professional. You're meant to be a coach. She wasn't talking to me, but she was talking directly to me. And I went home and called my sponsors and I said, I'm going to go after the coaching. So that was kind of the shift for me over that 3 year point.
And then how did you start connecting with the PGA membership on a national level?
On a national level, I went to my level 3 and my presentation was guaranteed results. So my mission was revolutionize golf instruction worldwide by guaranteeing results for golfers. And I presented it, and several of the people were like, I don't think that's possible. And I was like, well, let me show you all the facts. Let me show you all the evidence. And the next thing you know, they asked me to present at the 2012 National Teaching Coaching Summit. And I presented there. It's called the Win-Win-Win Solution. It was, look, my players are getting better. It's a win for them. My club is making a ton of money because they're all practicing a lot more. They're at the golf course. They're buying food. This is now, I'm at a public course, but like this is their home course now. So it's a win for the course, and it's a win for me because I'm making a lot more money and I'm having a ton of fun because I'm on the golf course and I'm teaching. At that time, I was teaching, 16, 18, 20 people every session, like out on the golf course with 5 foursomes playing golf, cruising around in a golf buggy like I was a golf coach.
So the makeup of our attendees this morning, we've got about 65 golf professionals on here, and they're not all golf instructors, obviously. There's a lot of assistant professionals, there's a lot of head golf professionals, there's some general managers on here. And what Will's talking about really applies to so much more than just golf instruction. We talk about building systems and talk about facing your fears. And I think it's just important to make note of the fact that, yes, Will is a golf instructor, but he's talking to all of us in all walks of this golf profession. So thank you so much, Will, for coming on and doing that. Want to make one last call for questions around the room. Actually, we got 74 attendees this morning. Thank you so much to the SCPGA membership for supporting the Catalyst. It's been going on. This is believe it or not, this is our 12th year of doing the Catalyst every other week. It's been a long road and a big evolution. I think it's come a long way. And one of the reasons why it's so well supported is because of the strong volunteerism of the presenters. And thank you so much, Will, for being with us here this morning. We are eternally grateful. Blake, I know you were in and out of this call. Do you have anything you want to add before we sign out, or for all the attendees on the call, any last questions for Will? Going once.
I'll throw a couple. I'll throw a couple questions. How much time do we have? What time do we go to?
Yeah, we've got another 20 minutes if we
Yeah,
need any time
so yeah,
after.
I'd love to dive into here for all of you that are directors of golf, general managers, head pros. I mean, to me, there's nothing better than when I have texts get sent to me or emails of a general manager who's like, "Hey, Will, I went and watched a 5 hour coach and I'm implementing it." And so to me is, look, we all got into this game because we love to play it, right? We all got into this game because we love sharing it and we love teaching it. And then yeah, we do have responsibilities to run a club, and it's a lot. And I've never done it, but I know how much I can see how much it is. But the opportunity to get out once a week or once every other week and play 9 holes with 4 of your members, or go and play 9 holes with 4 of your students. Look, here's my experience. Every person I ask, when I tell them, like, "Hey, have you been on the golf course or the golf pro?" Remember, with SoCal, we did this all together. We did, there's 2,000. We did the survey, right? 89% of people said, if asked, would you join a foursome with your PGA professional, go out on the golf course? Would you be willing to, go out for a playing lesson? 89% of people said yes. 5% of people just said, who would I be playing with and how much would it cost? So people desperately want it. And for me, I think there's a couple reasons why a lot of us don't do it. Our games are not in great shape because you've given so much time and effort to going out there and running the whole club that you really don't want to go out there and play golf in front of your members and shank a driver into the junk and shoot a 39 or a 41 and feel embarrassed. And so the whole key to going and doing playing lessons is not about you, it's about them. So you go and pick your members who shoot 95, which is most of them, and you tee off with a 7-iron, and you hit a 7-iron down the fairway twice, and you chip onto the green with a hybrid and 2 putt and make a bogey. Well, for 9 holes you do that, you're going to make 4 pars. You shoot a 40 and it blows their mind. They're like, how did you do that? Oh my God, this is amazing. Because they're shooting 52 for 9 holes, right? And so part of this is, I think of Tony Chavez is who's down with you guys, and maybe Tony's on the call today. But like I remember when Tony first,
Tony
yes,
is on the
Tony,
call.
you remember when you first got into this, probably what, 6, 7 years ago? And he's like, well, but my game's in terrible shape, and I'm embarrassed. And he was all tense about it. And he went out there and he started playing, and he was playing in the desert, and he played golf with them. And the minute you put a 7 iron and a pitching wedge and a putter in your hand, you start to realize that game's not as hard as you thought, and you actually can shoot some pretty good golf. And then you start to build that confidence. And here you are. And then, I mean, Tony, Tony goes on and then goes on to start to, get a head professional job and a director of golf job and now coaching, and like completely changes your life because it's just like, wow, I have this joy back because I get to be on the golf course. I get to be out there helping people. Maybe it's only 2.5 hours a week. Maybe it's only 2.5 hours a month. But I tell you what you see is you see the golf course from a different perspective. You will not believe what people will tell you in a playing lesson, right? They're not going to come into your office and tell you things, right? Hey, this is the problem with the food and beverage right now. Did you know how bad it is on the back nine in that back bunker? But when they're playing, they're happy to just talk to you about things. And you're just your peers at that point, even though you're their coach, right? So you get to see the course, you get to experience the members, you get to do what you love, you get to be outdoors. It sparks your enjoyment for this game that you love, which so many of us who've been in the industry a while have kind of lost that passion for it because it's become so much of a job. And so I would challenge all of you to start to look at like the joy that this game brings and how much your members absolutely love it. And then as a leader at your club, are your assistant pros getting out there and playing? Because if they're not, I mean, this is the whole, I mean, look at the Northeast, right? Like the private member model, that's especially 30, 40 years ago. Head pro got to go and play a lot of tournaments, and the assistant pros, you need to go out and play with the members. And I mean, I look at Blake and what he does with his team, right? They're all out there, they're playing golf, they're having fun, they're just really starting to look at, this concept of like, we're golf pros. The thing you can't take from us is that we can play the game and teach the game. Anybody can do inventory, right? Anybody can fold a shirt. Anybody can go ahead and check somebody in for a tee time. I mean, we're being underutilized, right? Our greatest asset is that we retain our customers. And we all know that Invited truly believes that now, right? Get out there on the golf course and go and play with our members. And so this is where I just challenge all of you that, some of you might be teaching full time, too many 1 hour sessions. Start getting some groups on the course, start going and doing some group coaching. Some of you are in the pro shop too much. Get out there. Some of you are young professionals that are like, wow, I would love to do that. Then go and ask your head pro, go and ask your director of instruction, go and ask your director of golf, go and have them watch the PGA Modern Coach, go and have them watch the 5 Hour Coach and be like, I could get out there. I could work with people that are shooting 100. You can't break somebody who's shooting 100. They're not good, right? Like you go and teach them how to chip with a hybrid, how to work on lag putting, and how to put driver away on a lot of holes. They're probably going to shoot 97 and absolutely love you. So I think that's a big part to this is that coaching is such a root cause. And as I work with Jamie and Nikki on all the great things to come that are happening in Southern California this coming year in October, and just the opportunity for us as golf professionals to think about play the game. That is what this is all about. People are looking for engagement, they're looking for connection, they're looking for entertainment. And a lot of times, the reason why people don't go and get a lesson is because it sounds like homework and it sounds like I could embarrass myself and it sounds like it's pretty expensive and it may not work. Whereas going and playing golf with my PGA professional, that sounds like fun. Maybe even if I was to bring my wife and kid, maybe if I was to bring two of my buddies and just go and play golf, like that's what I would inspire you all to be focused on is like that's going to drive up the impact. And that's for me how I get my energy is that, I can go and coach for, on the golf course, have a blast, have an amazing time, and come home and feel like I didn't do anything. You stand me on a driving range for 6 hours one-on-one instruction, I'm probably not coming home that day. So it's yeah.
So
Uh,
Will, this all sounds, fantastic, obviously, just like going to the gym the start of the year. What are some of the advice you have for the section on how to implement these systems and how to make it a part of their life?
yeah, so I mean, I think first of all, obviously I'm going to come from an approach of I think that playing the game is the most important part of the game of golf, not swinging a golf club. I think it's part of the game of golf. So I think what you've got to do is get really clear on what you believe in. right? I mean, some of you are experts with ground forces and TPI and understanding club fitting, and it's you don't need to be me, right? You need to be you. What do you truly believe in? If it's getting people in shape and TPI, then embrace that and create courses that are gonna get you fueled up and feeling really amazing as you see people who are struggling with power, losing distance as they get older, and start to realize that we don't sell time, we sell results. Well, if you do sell time, I'm telling you, making 100, 125 bucks an hour and you're standing on a range and the person's telling you what you should do for them. As an expert, that's not how it works. As an expert, you tell people what you have to do for them because you see their problem. So I would challenge you, like, embrace what really inspires you. Remember how we talked about those KPIs? Is like, what do you want to do this year to impact people? Is it get five juniors to make their high school golf team? Is it to get three of your players to play college golf? Is it to get somebody to scratch? Is it to start up a ladies league? Is it to get somebody 20 to everybody 20% more distance with their driver? You got to go with what you truly believe in, right? Because that's where your energy is going to come from. And then it's not hard to do. Once it's something that you're really driven by, then that's really exciting. I think the next thing that I always sort of talked about, you've heard me say many times before, is try not to sit down on a computer and start to get on a spreadsheet or a Google Doc or ChatGPT and try and build it out. Go and have conversations. You all have 10, 15, 20 people at your facility, at your club that trust you, that like you, that just want to help you because of how much you've helped them. And just ask them and just say, hey, listen, am I going crazy? But just did this TPI certification. I just did this stack system thing. And like, I'm thinking of doing a speed training this winter. Like, do you think that'd be cool? What do you think? What do you think I should charge for it? Would you be one of my students? Would you be willing to give me honest feedback about it? I mean, you build great programs through people, not through spreadsheets, right? Because even though we have our great ideas of like, I think this is how it's going to work, it's amazing how if you just open and honest with people and they're like, yeah, that's great, but there's no way it could be an hour and a half. I'd be exhausted after 30 minutes. Charge the same amount and do it for 30 minutes. You're like, wow, you just made me 3 times the amount of money. Thank you very much. Yeah, don't do it 3 times a week. Do it 2 times a week. Yeah, don't do it that like your students will literally tell you because that's the beauty of capitalism, right? I mean, in terms of somebody has a problem, right? And you are now got to try and figure out how to solve that problem. How can they get there, right? How can you make sure they do the work you're asking them to do? How do you make sure they can afford it and see the value of it, right? And so that's where I'd say is we are out there to help people. So you've just got to get in front of more people and have more conversations. And I think where people probably right now are going like, oh, well, I don't feel comfortable. Yeah, because you're thinking I'm telling you to sell. I don't want you to sell. I want you to research. Go out there and just find out if your idea sucks. Like I sat down with 16 of my players on April Fool's Day in 2008 and said, look, do you think it's crazy? But I'd love you guys to come out for 12 weeks. And for 12 weeks, I'm going to be out here 6 days a week. I have a morning session and a lunch session. And basically, I just want to go and play golf with you and then practice. And if you're up for that, I'm gonna charge you. And remember the number $957. My dad told me pick like a random number. I was like, okay, $957. I mean, financially, it was probably like the most horrible deal ever for myself because I took 16 bills, that's 16 grand for 12 weeks, and I was at the course like 20 hours a week. I probably should sue the EDD should take me down because I was probably under minimum wage. But I had 16 people. I had a guy go from 121 to 80. I had a player go from 95 to 77. I had a person never touch a golf club, break 100. I had a guy go from 77 to 69, and it took off. And then it went to $1,200 for 12 weeks, and then it went from 1,200 to 10 weeks, and then it went to 1,500 for 10 sessions. Right. So it's like it all figured itself out as people are like, well, this is brilliant. You're completely undercharging. This is amazing. It's fantastic. You've got to keep doing it. Right. Your people, listen, you want to be around people that are like you or that you want to be like. And guess what? Everybody that plays golf would love to be a PGA professional. They'd love to be, even though we're not maybe scratch golfers anymore and we're playing off a 3 or a 4, it's like they would love to be us, right? So they're willing to help you. They're willing to talk. And you all know this. I'm talking to the choir when I say this, but that's the most important thing is if you get that communication going and you say it, I know for a fact, I can't see all the people that are on the call. I don't see everybody's names, but I know many of you. There's not one of you. It's like, hey, thanks for the conversation and insights. I'm now not going to do it. Like, of course you're going to do it because you've asked for their insights. So it's almost like knocking the domino down is by sharing it out loud. not sitting in front of a spreadsheet for the next 6 weeks and coming up with a plan and then putting a flyer up at the course and being like, oh, why did my group not fill? It's because it was impersonal. It wasn't based on them. And people don't want to be sold to. They want to be heard, they want to be understood, and they want to go on a journey with their pro. So that's really like what I would say to all of you is like we're relational, like get in there, have relationships through conversations.
So, Will, as we approach the end of the hour, what are the two biggest things you're most excited about in 2026?
Oh, what am I most excited about? Good question. What am I most excited about? Just playing a lot more golf. Super excited about that for myself. Like really enjoying getting back to golf. Remember, I told you it's all about how I mess it up is how I learn. Like I didn't go and get a master's degree or a doctorate. I just went and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars messing up. Um, and so for me, yeah, just during those years of COVID, I was on Zoom a lot. I was on Zoom a lot, helping a lot of coaches and doing trainings and stuff. And it's just nice. And I love doing stuff like this. 74 people on the call. But I was born to be on a golf course and out there helping people. So I just love getting to play more golf, getting to work with my golfers and play golf alongside them and go on that journey. So that's a huge thing. And then I would say just, my daughter Madeline, her volleyball and her lacrosse. I get to coach her lacrosse. My son's rugby, Marcus's rugby and his soccer, and just being there for their games, being there coaching their teams. Just yeah, with my wife Amanda, just family time and stuff like that, and realizing like, okay, I'm blessed. Like things are starting to come together because I've started to learn how to say no to certain things and build time for my family and myself. And so it's a real blessing to just have made enough mistakes that things seem to start to be going pretty well.
So, Will, you'll be at the show at the end of the month, I'm sure. Are
Yep.
you going to be presenting, or is there anything you'd like the Southern California section to know about attending the show in Florida at the end of the month?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'll be presenting on Thursday. Don Ray and I will be on the main stage. We'll be presenting, talking about PGA Coach and all that's happening there. We'll be in the business center on Thursday and the main stage on Thursday. So yeah, excited about that. Obviously, play the game, Jamie Mulligan, 2026, Virginia Country Club, October. It's going to be insane. There's some really crazy stuff coming, and Southern California PGA. You
So
guys.
yeah, that's very exciting. So for those of you that don't know on the call this morning, the National Teaching and Coaching Summit is going to be coming to Southern California in 2026. It'll be at Virginia Country Club in Long Beach, hosted by Jamie Mulligan. Obviously, Will's going to be a big part of it, being on the National Coaching Committee. Um,
Yeah, I would just say to that, I would sort of change it just a little bit. I wouldn't say it's the summit coming. I think it's a complete rebuilding, completely change of idea of the summit's been an amazing journey. It's done a great job. This is the play the game, basic experience of like we're gonna get out there and get people, the best coaches in the world on the golf course, coaching people and really changing it. So Jamie's got some amazing things. Nikki's been a huge support to that, and it's gonna be very exciting to see what's coming. And again, SoCal, I go to all the sections. You guys are kicking butt. You know that, right? You have an amazing section, social media stuff that you do, the events like this that you do. Yeah, I would say to all of you is go and talk to one or two other PGA members, especially those of you who have assistant pros underneath you. Why weren't they on this call? Not for me, because you're the content that you are all getting. As I said, I go to all the sections. I can say Nebraska's phenomenal. They do a really good job. South Florida, but like not all the sections are pouring into their members the way that SoCal does. So I would really continue to just push that like these every 2 weeks. I mean, what a huge advantage that you're all getting. So I would really lean into, even if your assistant pro has to have an earbud in and is sitting there while in the pro shop re-gripping clubs or something, like get more people on this call, because these are the sort of things, the education that are going to help them to really achieve their goals.
Well, fantastic. Again, Will, on behalf of the SoCal section, the Education Committee, thank you so much for coming on and presenting on the Catalyst this morning. For all the PGA members that are joining us today, you will receive one PDR credit for being on the call this morning. And we will be sending out a YouTube recording of this morning's hour with Will's contact information on there, and just acknowledgement and gratitude for his time. And thank you, everybody, for supporting the Catalyst webinar. Will, we'll see you at the end of the month. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a great day,
Yes.
everybody.
Absolutely. And send out my cell phone number to everybody. You've already got it. But again, if any of you need to talk or need some help or insights, any way I can help, I just put it in the chat box, 916-742-7785. It will go out in the email. But truthfully, reach out. If you don't get it, ask Blake, ask the team. If you need anything, just let me know any way that I can help. Thanks, everyone.
I'll put that on the email as well.
Brilliant.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Will. Take
Thanks,
care,
everyone.
everybody.
See you. Bye.